I'll let Franny get all fixed up there. He just gave me the thumbs up. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, he is a great TV analyst for the Washington Nationals. I would call him a friend of mine. I don't know that he would call it back. He sends some of the dirtiest texts you've ever seen, and you cannot open them in front of your kids or wife. And just a good all-around guy. Former Giant, MLB Network Radio. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, it is Kevin Frandsen. What's happening, Franny?
Not a whole lot. Not a whole lot. Just,
Good to see you, man.
Yeah, well, it's not good to see you. Trust
I
us.
know.
So I think we all know
see,
that.
it's already starting, man.
My
So,
God.
I
you
give
and
you this.
Steve Phillips have the same tan. You know what I mean?
Well, dude, I'm not an attractive man. I know. I didn't do it so good this morning. It was very early. It was dark. You know how it is when you're. Well, no, I the bright lights are on. I just put a little bit of something on there, and my wife is sleeping, and you close the door to the bathroom. I'm in the dark trying to get dressed. Look at my hair. I mean, I'm getting dressed in the dark. My God, it looked terrible. But that's pretty normal. That's pretty normal.
That's just normal life for you. That's good.
I know. Bad hair life, bad face day.
I like this. I like this gig that you got. I like it.
Yeah, you know what? It's working out cool, and you know how it is.
More interactions. Yeah,
more interaction with people like I'm looking right now. People are giving you a lot of love, by the way. I'm checking this out. You can probably see this, but a lot of love. Look at that, Franny.
Just to be honest with you, I don't look at comments because it's like, even if they're good,
that's a good point.
They're gonna hate you anyways. Like no matter what. Like you said something negative.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, you know what I'm just doing? You're a sports fan of the Bay, so I don't have to. We don't just look at that. There's a Go Bells there. Look, let me pop this stuff up for you. Look at it. I'm fancy. Look at that. There's a Go Bells right there. I can't see any of it. I don't know. Okay. All right. Whatever. Get it worked out. All right. Before we get into the Giants and Justin Verlander and Sasaki and all this stuff, and you stay up on everything. Yep. The Warriors, they lose to the 9-31 Toronto Raptors last night. We're coming up on the deadline on February 6th, and it does give me no joy in saying this thing's over. But I mean, this thing's over. I mean, it's depressing to watch, but this thing's over. It's too bad.
Yeah. Look, it is probably. Remember years ago when I first got over there, and Tom had the unfortunate incident. And I was working with you, and I said,
yeah.
And I told you, I was like, man, I'm in the boat of why can't we just enjoy this? Right? Because everyone at that time was just clamoring like, oh, we got to do this. This is like now winning 2 titles in a row, going for the 3rd. And I'm like, everyone's crushing. Everyone's crushing the Warriors for losing certain moments. You're like, just enjoy this. Remember where we were, right? And so now we're 10 years into this whole thing, and you're going, have you enjoyed it? Why have we gotten onto this pedestal as Warrior fans thinking that we are the greatest thing ever when for, pretty much my entire life we sucked, right? Unless you had to run TMC. I mean, that's like the only time you can say it. But that's
why I wanted to ask you about it, because people, they'll pigeonhole you as a baseball guy. You're a sports fan. You're a Bay Area sports fan.
I've enjoyed it. Whether they've lost or not, we still get to see Steph play every day. Or not on back-to-backs, because, I mean, again, by the way, those fans that crushed – no, hang on.
No, you're right.
The fact that fans, back in the day were crushing the load management stuff, this is why we still have the ability to see Steph. Because they took care of him to get to this point.
Yep.
In a league where, the size of the human kind of matters. Right? Look at LeBron. My God. So I've enjoyed it. It sucks. I haven't enjoyed the losing part, but I've enjoyed we still get to see one of the greatest players ever play.
This is the analogy, and you'll probably make fun of me, but you and I, crazy enough, are on the same page here, because what I was explaining earlier was, and I don't know why sports is so different. We expect something. So when you go to a movie, for example, and you think to yourself, I'm just going to go into the movie theater. I'm going to be entertained for 2.5 hours, if anybody goes to movies anymore. And that's it. There doesn't have to be a sequel. There doesn't have to be anything. It's just 2.5 hours, 2 hours, whatever it is, of entertainment. Hopefully it's good. And people look at the Warriors and think there has to be something more. I have to get something more out of this. And I get it. Fandom is different. But at the end of the day, it's all entertainment. So I was just trying to tell people that, because we played some Steph Curry stuff, and I think he's relegated to the fact that this just isn't going to work. There isn't a player out there. There isn't a magic elixir. There isn't it's not going to happen, and it's got to end at some point. Everything that goes up must come down. So it's, if you can, I know it's hard, but look at it like a movie. Go get entertained for a couple hours. Steph is awesome.
Yes.
And go home and don't have expectations, because if you do, it's just going to piss you off.
Yeah, you know what? I couldn't agree more, because the whole thing is supporting actors are fine, right? They might win an award here and there, and it's fine.
I like where you're going.
But the main character is what you pay the money for. And the main actor in this has been Steph, and he has just been thank you. I mean, that's like I feel like that's all we could say is just thank you, because I mean, what he has turned this franchise into, and the run that they've had. Thank you, because we haven't had this, and it's part of it for me. Just not taking it for granted. At that moment when I said that, when we had KD, I was like, why can't we just just enjoy this? Enjoy the hell out of this. You have two of the greatest basketball players on planet Earth. And maybe even in the grand scheme of the game of basketball. Enjoy it. And right now we're finding the back end of this thing, and it sucks, but at the same time, like, we have this opportunity to find that this sucks, because we got to that pinnacle part.
Kevin Frandsen is joining us. Before we get into some baseball stuff, just so that the people know, and you're getting a ton of love here on the chat line. What are you up to nowadays? What are you doing? Where are you living? What's the deal? You getting ready for spring training? What's going on with you?
I'm definitely not getting ready for spring training.
How far are we out?
Dude, you know what I'm doing? Coaching 19 third and fourth grade girls basketball players. Yeah, here in New Jersey. Well, you know, the wins and losses are it's not about the win there, John. It's about
sure. It's not, of course not.
It's been fun. It's been a good experience. It's tested my patience with not wanting to put Tenley in, my daughter, more, because she goes and gets our buckets for us. But I get
she good?
I get yeah, she's passionate. She likes it, right? Like, so I think she's good right now. As a third grader, I think she's good. Does it make her a great basketball player? No, she's still got to work at it. But man, watching development of kids we've had 4 girls that have never played a team sport. And
wow,
people are like, man, you're crazy for doing this. I'm like, why? They've never had a third, fourth grade team at their school, and they wanted to play. I'm like, I'll do it. I don't care. They're like, well, next year, hopefully you'll have less. I'm like, then that means I did a terrible job as a coach, right? My goal is to get as many girls from this team to play next year and move on. So that's been taking up some of my time, helping out with some of the softball stuff. They asked if I know a thing or two about hitting, and I was like,
a little bit.
Maybe a little bit. So we work with that, and then doing my Sirius XM radio stuff in the off season, is before the national season starts, and I have a good time doing it on TV. It's different at times because radio part of it was fun because you get to paint the picture the whole time.
Yeah.
And the TV part is the pictures tells the story, right? So it's just trying to entertain and get on the same page with everybody.
Oh, by the way, I'm trying to tweet out that you're on the show. I don't know if you're following me anymore. What's your X, Twitter? What is it?
Do you think did I not follow? Do I follow you? Yes, I follow you, John.
I know you do, but
It's
I can't get
Kevin
it to come
Frandsen.
up here.
I don't.
Okay.
Look,
Kevin.
I don't care. Like the whole social media thing. I understand you need it.
Yeah.
But like, people don't need to know where I go. Like I'm a nobody. But, you know what I mean? Like I'm a nobody. So, but I'm just saying. No.
Okay. I just
people that think that they have to go
I'm
around
social media savvy now.
Around the world and show what they're doing. No one cares.
No,
really,
I don't do that.
No one cares.
I don't do that. I just think people want to hear what you have to say, and if they're not tuned in because they hate me, maybe they'll tune in because they like you.
But what if they hate both of us at the same time? It's awesome. High five. Yeah.
Then they'll probably come in. All right. I don't. Maybe you can't see this, but I think you can hear this. Let me play a little JV, a little Justin Verlander yesterday. I'm very anxious to get your opinion of how Giants pitching looks. And you faced Justin Verlander. He's 42 years old.
I faced him in Double-A.
You did?
We got drafted the same year, so he's still playing.
You did?
Yeah. So I think he was the second one in our.
He was
draft.
the second overall pick out of Old Dominion, and I was at his first game in Detroit.
Guy who got up to the big leagues from our draft. I think I was number 4. It was
Were you really?
Fiorentino, this random guy got picked up in the draft, and then Jeff Fiorentino, and then he ended up going to Baltimore, right? Like they needed a body, and he got called up, and we're like, what the hell? This guy got drafted. He sucks. Anyway, he was the first. Justin was the second, and then I think it was Jonathan Sanchez, and then myself went 3-4 as far as going up of that draft. So yeah, I've known him a long time. We played in the Futures game together, and
wow,
what a hell of a career, man!
Oh my God, no kidding. All right, let me play one thing for you because everybody's asking him the same thing in a different way. You know how these press conferences work, and so it's like, is Father Time going to catch up to you? So let me play this, and then I wanted to get you on because I wanted to hear the reality. We want to get into Roki and all those different things, but here's Justin Verlander yesterday talking to the media.
Season, and that was to help the shoulder issue that I had, and it was totally avoidable. It was my fault. I've always been somebody who just doesn't. I set down the ball and don't pick it up again for a few months, and then I've always been very lucky that I just pick it up and start throwing. Well, at 41, that caught up with me. So that was an adjustment that I've made that I feel like is paying big dividends already. It's funny. I was having a conversation today with my throwing partner and just talking about how miles ahead of where I was last year at this time. Honestly, this time last year was my first game of real catch, and I'm already up to 92 and trying to pull the reins a little bit, not overdo it. So that feels great. And then what I've learned from the neck, at this point I can say that I hope it plays out the way I see it. But it was hopefully one of those blessings in disguise that I didn't know was an underlying issue. It had been affecting me, I believe, for a couple years until an event finally occurred. And sometimes you never want an event to occur, but sometimes you need that to happen to point you in the right direction. And I really believe that's what occurred. It notified me that there was a problem there. And as I've been addressing that, I've noticed a lot of significant beneficial other changes in my body that have led to better mechanics. And I think my throwing is really benefiting from all these adjustments I'm making. So that's where I'm at now. I'm feeling great. Really just kind of trying to stay on the path that I've been on and just continue to build up for spring.
All right. So there is Verlander. What do you think of that? I mean, tell me what you think he can do at 41/42 years old. What can he do?
Well, number one, there's so much honesty in there. And I feel like people are going to look at that and be like, oh, he's just saying. No, there's a lot of honesty because the fact that he was one of those guys. There's a few that you go around throughout your career and you find out, man, you don't pick up a ball till what? Till right before spring? Seriously? You don't pick up a bat Greg 𝐬𝐿. Remember Greg 𝐬𝐿, catcher?
Yes.
He would always say he would go to spring training right before he would go to the batting cages and he would put in the coin and he would hit maybe he goes maybe 4 coins worth, and he goes, then I would go to spring training. That was my off season. I was like, seriously? To have that ability for Justin Verlander his entire life, just to basically, take time off, then go back, it's huge. You have to also think about this. 2 years ago, winning the Cy Young, one of the biggest things that he did in that time was what? He came off of Tommy John, and he threw just an incredible amount of innings that year, right? Because you're not only talking about the 28 starts he made during the season, he had 175 innings that year. Then he pitched the postseason, right? And I think we started to see it creep up, the residuals of that in 23, in 24, right? As far as the body not responding as much. He signs with New York. It was okay, right? Still pitched to a 3.22, and you're looking at it, and then goes over, back to Houston. It just, your body's going to take a toll. And for you to be able to adjust. Now, here's the adjustment, being able to throw a little bit more in the offseason. I'm interested to see, for a guy that has what? I want to sit there and say, shoot, 200 innings, 8-10 times probably, right? I mean, that just was the consistency for him. To see how that changes, at 41 years old, are you going to get to, I'm going to sit there and say the goal's got to be 170 innings, right? It has
you think he can throw 170?
No, I mean, that I feel like that has to be the goal. That has to be that pinnacle part. Now, the question is that including spring training innings? Is that including postseason innings? Or is it just regular season? Because for me, this is a rotation that needs that other adult, right? Like Logan's Logan, and he is phenomenal, and I love him. And sometimes I feel like when you get some of the interviews going, there's a little, you got to get those reins back. I think when you have the vet in Justin Verlander, it could help still guide those guys, right? Like we assume that these young stars, these young pitchers, that they got it answered, right? So they're going to be the stalwart. They're going to be that guy. No, you still need that. You still need that veteran presence there. And so you add him with Robbie Ray and Logan Webb. I like it. Now, is it better than the Padres still? I don't think so. I don't.
Especially if they get Roki. Where do you think he's going?
Well, yeah, we can get into that. I think it's, yeah. Let's say on the Verlander thing. Let's say on the Verlander.
Thank you.
No,
I love that you just cut off my ADD there. That was really good. Let's finish Verlander. You're right.
ADD. There we
go. Go for it.
So
the
thing is with Verlander though is what you still have is a special arm, and this is not Randy Johnson of 2009.
Okay, good, because that's what a lot of people here have thought that's what it's going to be.
He was throwing 88. He was just a shadow of himself. Like he was just a little bit of that. Verlander's still coming 2 years off of his Cy Young Award winning year, right? Like this is the part that we have to tell ourselves. He still has that in him. So where do they go with it, right? Like what is he as a mentor? Or is he going to be – I feel like a guy like Justin Verlander's in this game and he's made a ton of money and he takes, a $15 million deal? He's going to help. Now, if you're talking about someone that's making that money that he made with, 43-7 with the Mets and then the Astros, I mean, there's not going to be as much – the drive to do things is a little different, for him. So playing now for a storied franchise, yes, you had a great career in Detroit. Yes, you had a great career in Houston, but this is the most storied franchise he's going to play for. And there's something different about it. And when you get there to spring training, and unfortunately over the last few years, we've lost a lot of our walking statues that we had.
Right. Man.
You still walk into God, it still crushes me. It still crushes me.
I can tell, man. That was a rough year last year.
It was my favorite thing in the world is going to spring training. You get to see all these guys, and then you see them during the year, but you're like, oh my God. The fact that we don't have them here anymore with the Willies and Orlando and Gaylord and all this stuff, and you're going, my God. Anyway, you walk into a Giants clubhouse, you walk in, whether it's spring training, whether it's during the season, there is a lot of special there. And you're going to walk into something that you've never been a part of. Whether or not you want to say like the Detroit Tigers, it's not the San Francisco Giants. It's not the Giants organization. So with that being said,
from a standpoint, real quick before we get to Roki, just since you brought it up and you bring up a good point. So is this rotation in this division good enough, or do they need to add, I don't know what you think of Jack Flaherty. They'd have to go get it. They'd have to have a trade for like a Luis Castillo, somebody like that. But as currently constructed, because I don't mind the Verlander as long as it's not the end. And I don't think they're going to go out and get a big bat. People think that's going to happen. I like Willy Adames' signing, but I'm looking at this division and I'm saying to myself, okay, I can, Webb is great. I don't want to make Robbie Ray my 2 coming off TJ. I guess if you make Verlander your 3, but again, there's still questions there with age, and he's coming off that neck regardless of what he says. And I would love, love, love to have Hicks in the bullpen throwing 102 rather than throwing, 94. But that's right. They've decided what they've decided. But I'd rather have him in the bullpen. Could you imagine a bullpen of Hicks in the 7th, Duvall get him back on track in the 8th, and Walker in the 9th? That's what I want. But whatever. And it's not a democracy. I don't get a vote. But then you got the 2 young guys at the end of the rotation. Don't they need one more? Don't they need one more guy in the rotation or no?
Yes. So I was big proponent of both getting Fried and Burns. I was not a just let's get like the one part.
Gotcha.
The Giants needed 2. And you could sit there and say, like, well, we got the young guys, and Roop's going to be good. We know that, right? Like, he has the makings of it. Hayden's going to be good, but he has the makings of it. It just you have to do it. You have to get that opportunity to do it. But how much do you want to rest on that? And when you watch the Dodgers continue to grow and the Padres have done a pretty decent job at keeping it. Look, this starting staff, like, is, I still think, the fourth best in the division. I mean, you cannot tell me that the D-backs with now Corbin Burns in there, a healthy Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly, Eduardo Rodriguez, and then you got just a plethora of 4s and 5s that you could choose from right now, that they're not better, right?
Yeah.
So I've been proposing this since the beginning of this was like October. This is during the postseason. I said that the person that I would get, and then you get the Willy Adames signing, and it just makes it even better. Framber Valdez. You give me two sinker ball guys like Logan and Framber with that left side of the infield. Good night, right? Like, it's he's on the last year of his deal, $18 million. He just settled in RB the other day. I doubt it that they're going to get rid of him in Houston. I don't doubt it. I know they're not going to get rid of him. That's the stuff I would be looking for. A guy like that, because that changes things.
I think Buster's, by the way,
go ahead.
Yeah,
stays right in the middle.
In this division, and I don't know why I think this, and we can transition to Roki Sasaki told a bunch of teams yesterday that they're out, and the only 3 teams are Toronto, they're kind of like the Giants. Oh, we almost got that guy. Oh, we almost got that guy. I think it's going to come down to the Padres and Dodgers. If everybody's right, then probably the Dodgers, although with Darvish being there, and he idolizes Darvish, and they have definitely more than a need. I have a weird feeling he's going to end up with the Padres. Either whether it's the Padres or the Dodgers, it's bad for the Giants. So what do you know about him, and what do you think he's going to do?
Oh man, I still think this ends up in L.A.
No.
I've been saying it for a while. Yeah, I know it's unfortunate, but like I feel like what LA has done in the way that they've been able to construct. By the way, it's been going all the way back to like Bruce Sutter when it comes to deferments, right? Like deferred payments, all that stuff. So they're not doing anything that's
a good
not
point.
against the law. I have a list. I mean, it's a lengthy list that it doesn't even include the Dodgers in it at the point of all these guys. But to the point. Doesn't it feel like they're trying to build like a Japanese rotation? And by saying that, it's because of the 6-man rotation, pitching once a week, being able to accumulate so many guys that they could continuously. I mean, that's the part, keeping these guys fresh. And so then you have Shohei coming back this year. They're able to ease them in. With Yamamoto, everyone that says that there's going to be no marketing dollars for him, there's going to be marketing dollars, because guess what? Winning pays. You want winners, right? Like, people are going to go out there and pay for the winners.
Yes,
and
Mike
so
Singletary, we want winners.
Yeah, we want winners. How'd that work out?
Really well.
Really well. But yeah, Vernon Davis, hell of a Niner too.
Yeah. By the way, the last time I saw
athlete.
you was at the the NFC Championship game? Was that it?
Yeah.
Last year?
Yeah.
You had a big cigar. That was a good time, man. That was a really good time had by all.
But yeah, so I mean, is he a game changer? Yes. I mean, there's so many things that we could go with him that he's still looking to develop the part. Now, why are the Padres involved? I think number one, because of Darvish. You hear about that all the time. I think number two, they have shown that they could, Ruben Niebla, their pitching coach, who came over from the Indians Guardians organization years ago, has done a hell of a job. He was one of the main reasons why they had all those developed young pitchers for the Guardians. Right. So they signed him to a multi-year deal, which you rarely hear in Major League Baseball for a coach. And I think that showed to Roki, like, hey, this is the guy that you're going to be dealing with for years too. So just let you know, this who we have this here. They brought him in during the postseason, but you wonder, with all this crap that's going on with the Seidler family, which is just unfortunate.
Right.
Peter Seidler,
the daughter,
awesome.
And he's the
not
owner
the daughter.
of the Padres. I thought the daughter was
widow.
getting involved. Oh, the
No,
widow. That's
the
right, you're
widow.
right. Yeah.
Because he did not put her in the trust for the team because he knew that wasn't a part of it. He had his brothers in it.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that plays a part in this at the end. Toronto has an incredible facility back in Dunedin. It's a pitching lab that for the development part. Now, here's the thing. They don't have any of their own guys. They're none of their guys.
Right.
So you can't sit there and say, like, it's all about development. So there's a lot more questions than there is, with those two other teams than the Dodgers. And the Dodgers, everyone's going to be like, well, where are you going to pitch them in that? It's like, pitch them once a week, you're going to be just fine. Right? I mean, that's where they're going to be at.
Let me ask you about the Giants in this, and Kevin Frandsen is joining us, as you see on the stream down there. He's a former Giant, good friend of mine, and TV analyst for the Giants, for the Nationals and MLB Network Radio. Andrew Baggerly wrote a piece today, and this isn't new, that you're thinking about Japanese players, and you think Nori Aoki in 2015 is the last Japanese player that
but
had.
remember Shinjo.
Yeah, right.
Woo!
Ooh, that wasn't so great.
𝐃𝐨𝐽𝐻𝐽𝐽. 𝐃𝐶 still has one of the greatest feats I ever witnessed in Major League Baseball.
What was that?
Against the Padres, came into the game, bases loaded, nobody out, one pitch, triple play.
Wow.
Kevin 𝐬𝐿𝐵𝐿 hit it to him.
Wow.
Man, who was playing third that day?
Come on, dude. If you're going to bring
Castillo?
it up, you got to have it.
It was Castillo. Remember
Was that
Castillo?
right? Yeah.
I think he just passed away a year or two ago.
You're right. Okay, so I'm looking at these teams, right? The reason why, and I don't look, Joe Wolf, his agent, can say, he doesn't need to have a Japanese player. It is nice for these guys, I'm sure. But you're looking at these teams. The Cubs have a couple of them now. Obviously, the Padres with Darvish. The Dodgers have kind of cornered the market. The Mets have Senga. Like a lot of these teams, they're getting Japanese players, and it's part of this process. So you draft players. You got to get into the international, you have trades, you have all these different things, you develop your farm system, but it's now becoming, I'm not going to say it's a must-have, but you should have a relationship over in Japan. The Giants are on the West Coast. We have a high Japanese population. There are great places to eat in San Francisco. It should be a destination for Japanese players.
Yep.
But yet it's not.
Yep.
Why not? How come it's not?
It's a great mystery, I believe. Because I've been saying this on MLB Radio. It's like, what are you doing wrong, first and foremost?
Right. What are they doing wrong? I guess you were just very succinct.
For the most part,
yapped around it. But yeah, what are they doing wrong?
You heard like 20 teams were not involved, right, in this process,
Yeah.
and almost all 20 teams, I believe, don't have a presence in Asia, and that's a problem. Pacific Rim, they do not have that, and that's a problem. I know the Giants do. But
they're just not getting them, right? So they are doing the work. It's just that ultimately they're just not choosing the Giants. Does that come down to the same thing it comes down for a lot of guys? And I'm not talking about the ballpark because Sasaki could pitch really well here, but is it just they're not winning?
I think that's a big part of it.
Not winning.
I think it's a big part of it. I think that the minor league system has not developed enough to show that they're going to continuously win over time, and it's been a byproduct of at the same time the Dodgers have done all that. The Dodger brand is so much greater right now because they're winning.
Yeah.
And they're consistently winning. And it's like it took a 107 win year by the Giants in 21 to
beat them by one game.
Beat them by one game, and they beat you in the playoffs. So it's like it's unbelievable. So the thing that is probably the number one to look at is like the development part. They haven't developed. They have not developed well enough.
Yeah.
They've developed, but they haven't developed well enough. And I wouldn't even say developed. They haven't drafted well enough. Right? And I also think that the about face that like the Phillies did post Kapler, I think was huge. And it took some time for an about face for the Giants after Kapler. And I think that stunned them.
Franny, you bring up a great point because you work for those who don't know, you worked for the Phillies on the radio before you went over the Nationals, and that was just a couple of years ago. So you have intimate knowledge, obviously, of the Phillies. So they were kind of like the Giants. They aged out with that core.
Yep.
But they've done a nice job in getting guys like Zach Wheeler. They've developed some young players. There's no doubt about it. But they've gone out. I mean, they signed, they signed Bryce Harper. They threw a bunch of money out there. And from a financial standpoint, the Giants and the Phillies should be on a similar plane.
Every year.
Right. It's, you know, I
Every
get
year.
it. The Dodgers, the Yankees, there
Yep.
are teams that the Giants won't be, but they sure as hell can be the Phillies. So how did the Phillies do it?
Passionate ownership. It was passionate about winning. It was passionate about the fan. And John Middleton, who I'm close with, and I love, and I don't really care. His desire to bring a winning franchise or bringing the team a winning and the fan base a winning team year in, year out is like the baseline. He wants to win the championship every year. Bring me the effing, trophy. That's all I want. I want my effing trophy back.
The Giants don't have that, Franny.
There's no killer on it. No, there isn't.
I think they want to turn
the thing.
turnstiles. I don't think they want to win at a high level.
Nope.
I think they want to turn turnstiles, and I think that's going to be a problem for Buster long term, which is why I don't think he signed long term. I think, and don't get me wrong, and you know Buster, I hardly know Buster, so you tell me about Buster and how you think he's going to do, but I think that there was an expectation level here, Franny, that when they signed Willy Adames, that not necessarily the floodgates were going to open, but I'm sure they told Adames, hey, man, you're just the first. We're going to get this thing done. We're going to get this thing turned around. And here we are. And it's nothing against Justin Verlander. It's an awesome name. It's just that's a question mark. And other than that, look, first base is still going to be Lamont Wade Jr. Right field is still going to be Yaz. Everywhere else seems to be set. They're short offensively. I'd love it if they went out and got like a Tanner Scott. I'd love to have a hammer bullpen or put Hicks back in the bullpen. But it looks to me that in a division that I think, this is fair to say, is the toughest in baseball, with the Padres, Arizona getting burns, the Dodgers don't get us started. I mean, they're the fourth best team in this division. It's not really even close to the three ahead of you. And this is a major market team with now the exit of the A's, is the largest single market baseball team around. And I know it's going to maybe take 8 or 10 years to come to fruition, but still, that's where you are. LA, New York, Chicago. Those are the three markets ahead of you, and they all have two teams. You're the largest one. Like, why do they act like I'm not going to say they act like the A's, because the A's actually spend more money than the Giants now. But
they're forced to. They're forced to.
They have a floor, right? I know.
That jackass over there. My God.
But why? But I don't know. Maybe I'm just being too fan here. But it's like, I thought when they got Adames, not that necessarily floodgates would open, because I know the Giants, they weren't going to do that. Pete Alonso's not coming. I understand that. But I thought there would be more. I guess I thought there would be more. That's all.
I mean, it's fair to say that. But at the same time, I mean, some of the offers that they had out there, you're like, yep. I mean, again, Corbin Burns wanting to go and stay in Arizona, like,
yeah. Was that whole thing overblown? Like,
no,
because everybody thought that. I mean, in terms of the Giants' interest,
no,
they never. Oh, really? They were in. Okay,
they were in. That's
okay.
what I've been told.
Okay,
but what I do know is that, like, the last ditch effort by him and Boris to, I don't want to miss out on my Twins. Like, I get it, but
yeah.
Toronto, I knew wanted him. I knew that the Giants were heavy after him. But maybe you avoided something. Who knows? I agree. Like, after Willy Adames, so Willy Adames signing was like the perfection one. Right? Like, that was perfect to me. You have two of the best leaders in the game are between him and Matt Chapman. I feel like for a franchise that you could have, and we always look for position player leaders, right? I feel like that's something that you always strive to see. And you have two of them. You have two stalwarts there. Now you have to build around that. Now, a lot of it is resting on, can Matos have a spring where he comes? I mean, he's coming off an unbelievable winter ball. Can he come into spring, continue that play, and force the envelope a little bit to be that electric player, maybe, and play right field? Because Jung-Hoo Lee is still pretty damn good. I think people forget about that part, right? Because he was out with the shoulder surgery last year. Now,
think he's going to bounce back and be okay?
Yeah, I think he'll be fine. It's just the expectation of what you expect of him. Like, what are you expecting him to be as a hitter? Is he the game changer? No, but like he does a lot of great things. Defensively, he's a whiz. He will win the Gold Glove this year. He'll dethrone Brenton Doyle of the Rockies. I'm almost pretty positive on that one. But then the left field situation with 𝐬𝐿IA Ramos, if he ends up being that same guy that we saw that earned that opportunity to be in the All-Star game,
first half guy,
they have
second half
something.
guy. Yeah.
But there's a lot of that question. And so the Pete Alonso thing is interesting still.
Let me ask you about that, because here's what I'm
thinking about it. Like, if you're Pete Alonso, you
Yeah.
put this out there, right?
Yeah.
Like, only to the Mets. The Mets are just like holding on, being like, man, you're desperate for the date. I mean, I almost equated Pete Alonso and yourself together. You know what I mean?
See, it always has to
Desperate
come
for the
back to
date.
this, doesn't it? Yeah, that is true. The thing about Alonso, and I understand it because it's fandom, but here's what I've said about it, and I'd love to get your thoughts on it, is that everybody around here is like, well, let's get Pete Alonso. He can play first base. Short-term deal would be great because the Giants don't want to go long-term on a guy. Then Bryce Eldridge will be ready to go, and we're good to go. Okay, when fans look at trades or whatever the case may be, they only look at it from their team's standpoint. Okay, I'm Pete Alonso, so you're a former player, so you're the perfect guy to ask. Well, you're not the perfect guy to ask, but you're
I'm
here.
definitely not the perfect
So, but if I'm Pete Alonso and I want to do a short-term deal, I'm not doing it in this ballpark. I mean, my point is I'm trying to hit 50 bombs and then go back on the market next year. So it would be great from a Giant standpoint. Do high AAV for 1 year. He plays first base. Bryce Eldridge, hopefully he's ready to go after that. Works out great. But from Pete Alonso's standpoint, why would he come to this ballpark on a prove-it deal?
Well, I mean, his power's up. I mean, it plays everywhere. It does. The questions that start to arise are like, I mean, having three right-handed, your power is coming from three right-handed bats. Can that work? Yes, it actually can. Right-handed power will work at that ballpark. It will.
Mm-hmm.
I think you get Pete Alonso in there, and you have a little bit of, star in there, I guess you could say, helps out that lineup. But here's the part that I can't sit there and feel comfortable about, is like, he wants to be a Met so bad, right? If he goes anywhere else, he's going to be looking and watching the Mets games all day long, every day. And do I want that in my franchise? No, you know what I'm saying? Like, with all due respect to him.
Yeah.
He's shown that that's all he cares, is truly about that. And so it's a worry of me for that. But would he help out, the Giants? And I absolutely think he would. They don't have his power.
No.
And again, we could talk about, Bryce Eldridge all we want. But what is it, 2 years ago that the Giant system was starting to thrive a little bit? And then it went just cold for 2 straight years, right? Like, guys that they thought were going to just be just perfect. So, like, Bryce Eldridge, he's got to do it again. And he's got to be able to do it and sustain it, because that is a huge part of this. They had a lot of guys do it for a year and not do anything after in that system to get up there and earn that opportunity.
All right, let me see here. I'm gonna look out, because I asked for Franny questions. Somebody asked about. I mean,
I'm not exaggerating, by the way, to someone that said that he'd be watching the Mets. Yes, he would be. That's all you care about.
What's wild about that is that's
people
just
don't
basic,
understand that. Yes,
but it's basic leverage. Like, how would he let that be known? Because now it's like, well, no wonder the Mets aren't offering him anything,
right?
Because it's like, well, if you want a player that bad, then why would we offer you anything close to even market?
And no matter what, you look at Pete. He's going to be beloved in New York, whether he signs there or not. You know what I mean? Because he put it out on the line. Like, hey, they didn't sign me. I gave them the offer. I mean, how many times can you hear that in sport, or like the players giving the offer to the GM? Like, hey, I'm going to put this across the here. I've worked out the structure of the deal so you guys aren't hurt in AAV. You're not paying. I mean, he's done it all. So.
All right, man. I told you I wouldn't keep you very long, so I feel bad. Do you have stuff to do today? I mean, what time is it there?
12:30. No, nothing. Never.
You coaching? You coaching softball?
What am I doing tonight? What am I doing tonight? Nothing. Nothing tonight. I don't think so.
All right. How's life?
Well, it's colder than hell back here. At least we got some snow, which was fantastic for like a day.
By the way, it's been mid-60s, low 70s here.
Yeah, we'll be back in the Bay shortly for the 19 for Life bocce tournament. So,
very cool, man.
So yeah, just it's listening to all the people around here like, oh, where's your team this year in the postseason? I'm like, shut up, dude. We came in here and just
one off that year.
Yeah.
One off. Yeah.
For
by
people
the way,
that don't know, I'm in Eagles country that wears all nothing but Niner stuff. So
Jalen Hurts isn't that good. I think maybe Dan Campbell will screw something up. Speaking of the playoffs, but Jalen Hurts didn't look great. I mean, they should have crushed Green Bay. Jalen Hurts is not looking good, man.
I will say this, though. I will say this.
I know what you're going to say.
I hate the Rams. But damn, they looked good last night, man.
I can't believe they beat the Vikings last night. 9 sacks.
I can. I honestly, sacks. I can, because they had. There's always that something that bonds, those teams together, and what that, Cardinal franchise did for them, I think is still, it's not. I don't think it's going to be talked about enough. Just getting multiple planes to get their families there, and they go billionaire owners. Like, you don't have to do it. They did it. Great job by them. So
yeah.
Hopefully
Niners will be back. Niners will be back next year. I don't have any doubt. Brock's going to get signed early. They're going to get healthy.
Hopefully not for 50 a year. Okay.
I know. Me and you both. And gosh. Yeah, it wasn't great. He's going to settle down. He tried to do too much.
He'll be fine. He'll be fine. It's not. But again, these are those moments. This year was that perfect example. Like, he's the when people talk about aircraft carriers in baseball, can they carry the franchise? No. There's only a select few that are born that way, that have that ability to do it. He's a guy that's the perfect complementary piece in a great system, and it just let this thing flow.
I agree. You're the best, man. Thank you so much.
No, you are, man.
Jumping on. I appreciate it. When are you on MLB Network Radio? I love jumping that on. I love having that on. And then
I'm all over the place. Saturday mornings, so that'd be 7 to 10 your time on the West Coast, 10 to 1 here, Channel 89. That's a consistent one, but I'm here and there all the time. Like, I'm on back and forth. So,
all right, send me some dirty texts. I haven't seen any from you in a while.
No,
let's go.
No,
come on, man.
Tell everybody what you found on the supermarket shelves. Yeah,
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Supermarket. What are you talking about? Okay.
How's your family? The kids are good. Good. Everybody's good.
Yeah, they're good.
Right,
they're good. Everyone's good. Right. D just got home from school. Ten's at school. Amanda's doing good, so we're cracking right now.
And you're drinking. That's good. All right, man.
Definitely not.
Great to see you.
I'm not, actually. I'm not.
All right. We'll see you soon, brother. Thank you, man. I appreciate your insight.
Later.
All right. That is Kevin Frandsen. Very cool, man. Franny.